Well, hello there, everybody. This is Kendall Young. I am the owner and broker here at Diggs, where we are very proud to match cool people with cool homes in the foothills area as well as Northeast Los Angeles. So that pretty much takes us from Sunland to Hunga, right on over to Altadena and a little bit beyond that, and down into Burbank, Silver Lake, Los Feliz, and my hometown of Mount Washington, Eagle Rock area. So those are where we like to connect cool people and cool homes. So today, I would like to get into the concept of don't miss the best time to sell. Now, most people realize that the best time to sell is pretty much the springtime, and they say, well, they'll say spring, summer. And so they're thinking, hey, if we get our house on the market by, say, June 1st, it's all good, right? That's what you're probably thinking. And the truth of the matter is that if you wait until June 1st, you have missed the boat. The spring home selling season really is more like February. February's a little on the early side. Really, March and early April is the prime time for selling. That doesn't mean that you can't sell any other time of the year. In fact, I sell a lot of houses in December. But if you're talking about prime time, it's going to be February, late February, March for sure, and early April. Okay, so with that in mind, the people who wait until after the holidays to get started with this whole thing are often the ones who get their house on the market June 1st. And like I said, they've missed the boat. So what we're going to talk about today are the things that you can do starting today in the thick of our holiday preparations, things that you can do today that will ensure that you're one of the ones on the market in early spring, as opposed to just missing it all together. So what is the first things that you need to do? Well, something you can definitely do right now is to decide what is your target estimated time of arrival. So I'm assuming that if you're thinking that it's time to sell or that you'd like to sell in 2019, I'm thinking that you have an idea of where you want to go, and you may even have an idea of when you want to be there. Now, I'm not saying that you got a deadline. I'm not saying that if you don't sell your house by X, then you're going to have to sell your home at a fire price. You might assume that that is what I'm talking about. And really what I'm talking about is you having complete control over what happens, as opposed to the market having control over you. So let's assume for the moment that you would like, ideally, to move closer to the grandkids, okay? Just an idea. And you have no set schedule. You could be there anytime you want to. But if you could wave a magic wand, when would you like to be there? Would you like to be there by the time the kids get out of school, maybe, so you could spend the summer with them? Then that would be a target ETA, right? The world's not going to collapse if you don't get there by June 1st, but it'd be really nice if you did this. Okay, so let's just say that that's your ETA. Now let's start counting backwards. So we're talking about, I said the end of June, sorry. So let's say that you want to be there by the end of June. That's the day you'd like to move. Right now, it's taking wait, hang on a second. So we know that in order to do that, it's a 30-day escrow. That's what's typical. Could be longer than that, but 30 days is still normal. So that means that you need to be in escrow, accept an offer on about the end of May. Okay, so if you're going to be accepting an offer at the end of May in order to move by the end of June, that means that in today's market, and I don't even say today's market, I'm going to say this is what worked for most of this year, and I think things are changing, but for most of this year, what would have worked to be in escrow by the end of May is to be on the multiple list on beginning of May and have your first open house middle of May, have your brokers open right in the middle of the month, and then have a second public open house, assuming that open house is something that you want to do, and we can talk about the strategy of that, but second open house on the third Sunday of the month, and then spend a good amount of time negotiating your offers. We don't counsel just putting it on the market and accepting the first offer that comes in the door. That might be the best offer and that might be what you do, but we counsel that you at least plan for some time to negotiate so that you can be sure that you've gotten an offer that works for you with a buyer that works well for your situation. So that's what's working really, really well for most of this year, but things are changing. The velocity is slowing down. And what I mean by velocity is it used to be you put a house on the market and you were getting an offer the next day. That's not necessarily the case right now. It might take us a little time to get an offer on there. So you should be factoring in 2 weeks to maybe even 30 days to actually get your offer. So send counteroffers on the 21st. That's what I meant by that. So let's take this off the table, what had been working, and let's talk about what it might have to be working now. We might need to put your house on the market in April or even earlier to be able to move by June. So let's just talk about April. So you want to be on the market early April. Have your first open house, have your second open house, put it on the multiple list, right? So this is what's happening. But in March is when you actually need to prepare your home to get on the market in April so that you can move by the end of June. Do you see how we're going backwards on this one? So in this timeline, you might want to, the beginning of March, tune up your home and your yards. If there's any touch-up painting that you feel you want to do to enhance the profit of your house, and then we need to clean it, then install the staging or at least move things around so that it looks more ideal. And then we shoot our photos, get the photos done, and then you can put it on the multiple list. So that is probably much earlier in your thinking. And in order to do that, you'll probably want to start interviewing agents as early as February, on the 11th of February or even earlier, so that you can put them to work for you, gathering bids, giving you an idea of what your strategy is, what should you do, what should you not do. Right? So this is a lot that needs to happen. And I think that most homeowners are unaware of the steps that they need to take just to get their house on the market. Now, can you do this in like a week? Yes, you can. But for most homeowners, that is really uncomfortable, just too uncomfortable. And so what happens is, like, I'd like to move by the end of June. And so they're feeling that they will start the process in March or April maybe. And by the time they get it all done, interviewing the agents, getting the bids on the various bits of work that they feel they want to do in order to enhance the profitability of their sale. And remember, we can sell your house exactly the way it is. You don't have to lift a pinky. It's just a matter of what will you spend and how much profit will you make when you factor in both the money, the hassle, and the time. And if you work with Diggs, there won't be a lot of hassle, okay? That's just the way it is. We take care of everything for you. But by the time you get all of your bids, by the time you get everybody in, the work is done, and there's always the possibility for delays. Most people, if they wait until spring to start the process, will not go on the market until June 1st. And then they're going to be on the market when everybody else is on the market. Okay, so that's kind of the idea of working it backwards. Instead of waiting until May to put on the market, getting the process started, you should really be looking at March or maybe even sooner, especially if end of June is really not what you're looking for. You'd really like to get there in, earlier. All right, so here's the thing. While most homeowners aren't going to get their house on the market until June, most home buyers are doing this on January 1st. They hop on the internet after they look at their publications as soon as they've made the decision that 2019 is their year and they are going to get into their next house, whether they're going from a rental or their parents' house into their first house, or whether they're finally going to move out of their 2-bedroom, 1-bath starter home into their arrive-at home, their forever home, the home that's got enough room for their kids and their lifestyle and their entertainment, and frankly, frankly, just to fit into the place that they're in their lives. Now they've got much better jobs, they're making more money and paying more taxes than they were before. So this is what they're doing January 1st, and they are right on it. And they can start going to open houses and making bids on houses January 1st. They probably won't really get out until maybe the end of January. Maybe they need to update their pre-qualifications, make sure that all of their credit is in order, but they can get on the market shopping and making offers on homes well before June. Okay, so that's why we say our spring market really starts in February and March. So in order to get on the market and not feel this tremendous stressful rush much later in the year, you need a plan. And maybe you could use some help. Maybe you could use some physical help, and maybe you could use some advice help from some trusted professionals. And this is something that you can start doing now, deciding who you need to make appointments with to get the advice so that you can execute a great strategy. The first bit of the first question that you probably need to answer for yourself is, what is going to come first? Because in your mind, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to sell this house, I'm going to buy the house, and it's all going to happen at the same time. And that can happen. And actually, we have a pretty good track record of making that happen, but we make that happen with contingency plans, okay? So the contingency plans is, of the two very unpleasant situations that could happen, one is having no house because you sell your current house first, or having two houses because you bought a house first and now you got to sell yours. Of those two very unpleasant situations, which one should you do? Now, some of you will be in the really awesome financial position where you could do either one, right? You could sell first and maybe rent or bunk with relatives or what have you, or you could buy first because you can afford to own two homes for a period of time. How long, should be factored in, because just because you can afford to have two houses doesn't mean that you're comfortable having dual mortgages for very long. It might be a month, it might be 3 months, but more than 3 months and you're like, yeah, I'm just really, really uncomfortable. And for some of you, you could qualify technically, but if it's more than 30 days, that's just not something that's going to work for you, right? So what is first? Do you sell your home first and risk having no home? And do you have a alternative place to live while you search for the right home? Because nobody wants to be forced into buying a home just because they're homeless, right? That's not sensible. That's not what adults do. They figure out, okay, look, I have faith in the universe. I know that I'm going to be able to find a house, but if it takes me a little bit longer to get the right house than I was anticipating, I'm willing to be in temporary housing, bunk with my friends, bunk with my parents, be in one of those executive housing. Those are things that are completely furnished. Whatever it is, you have a plan, or you have a plan to buy a home first, knowing that you're going to have double mortgages for a while. So how do you figure out whether you can do the buy two homes? Because that's what's going to be most convenient for most of you, right? So here are the experts that I think you need to talk to. First and foremost, you need to talk to a mortgage professional. You need to find out, can you qualify for two mortgages? Now, it's a mistake to assume that you can, and it's also a mistake to assume that you can't, okay? Because you're financially conservative doesn't mean that there isn't a financial product out there that will allow you to buy a home before you've sold the current one. You may be surprised at what you can do borrowing against your savings or your retirement. You might be surprised that while you would never hold two mortgages, you actually qualify for two mortgages. And then it's just a strategy. How long are you willing to do that? And make sure you have a very clear idea. you might want to talk to your estate lawyer. If you're someone who is downsizing from your large house into a house that suits your lifestyle more, maybe gives you more of that close and go so you can travel more conveniently. So if you're looking to downsize, you may want to consult with your estate lawyer to make sure that you're being really, really smart about how handling your estate for taxes, both now and perhaps later. For example, there's something called the Prop 6090 that allows you to downsize and port your Prop 13 tax to a smaller home. So that's something the estate or tax professional can help you with. Speaking of tax professionals, you'll definitely want to talk to a tax person, because mortgage deductions have changed significantly in 2018. We're going to see the effects this April. And so you really want to talk to your tax professional and find out, if you were to buy another house, what's it going to do to your tax bill at the end of the year? Is this a good idea, a bad idea? What are ways to maybe do some intelligent planning that would allow you to maximize your tax deductions? You also want to talk to your financial planner, and you may discover that while you know, independent of anybody else, you would never own two houses. Maybe your financial planner would say, you know what, given what you make, given what you have invested, it's a really good idea to hang on to this house and rent it out, and then buy your forever house. So this is all stuff that you need to find out. And then of course, I think you should talk to Diggs. And the reason you should talk to Diggs is that we may surprise you as to what we think that you should invest in getting your house ready for sale that will maximize your profit. We may suggest that you spend money that you didn't think you should spend, but it's just so incredibly profitable that it makes sense to do that. Or, and this happens a lot, people will have me over during the holidays and they'll say, I think I need to fix X, Y, Z, and A, B, and C. And I'll say, you know what, do B and do X, but the rest of this isn't going to make you profit. I don't think you should do it. So I have saved people so much money, and any of the Diggs agents, we can save you so much money by directing your investment in getting your home ready for sale into things that bring you a true profit at the end of the day. So those are your experts that you should do, and that's why it's Gandalf, because we're guiding you along the way. Now, here are some of the things you need to know if you're thinking about making this move. Number one, you should know how much you need to move. Now, the market doesn't care how much you need to move, but you should know how much you need to move. If you are moving out of state, you should have some idea of what homes cost there, how much down payment you might need to make in order to be competitive, right? In some areas outside of Los Angeles, you don't need to do 20%. You are more than competitive if you've got 10% as a down payment. In other areas, you need to have a really healthy down payment. If you go to Oakland, as an example, in Northern California, if you don't have 20% or above, you're not competitive. They're not even going to talk to you. So how much do you need, right? And then the next thing is, how much can you get from the sale of your house? Because it's a real bummer to sell your house and find out that what you netted is not enough to accomplish what you wanted to accomplish. So you need to know, how much do you need to get? How much do you need in order to make this move? How much can you get for your house? And do we have a match? Do we have a good thing here? Is this going to work? Okay. So and it might even modify. You may look at it, how much you need, find out how much you need to get, and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to go to Oakland. Maybe I should go to Pinole, which is a less expensive area in the Bay Area. It's about, I think it's about 45 minutes. Let's not even talk about traffic. It's about 45 minutes north. And homes in Pinole are a lot more affordable than they are in Oakland. Right? So then you can make that change now, rather than just assuming, you know what, forget it, I can't sell my house, I'm not going to do it because I can't buy a house in Oakland. You can start doing your research and going, okay, but I can afford a home in this other area. And that makes sense. All right. And then if you find out there's a gap, you might not need to go to Pinole. Maybe what you need to do is you need to invest in the profitability of your home so you can get enough cash to move to where you want to go. So here's some options that help increase your profit. And these are not necessarily in order of profit making, but painting your interior is often a huge money maker. And I have some news for you. That color that you carefully chose based on the light in your home and the artwork that you have, and it was the Pantone color of the year when you painted it, that may not be the best choice for profitability. And sometimes, even though everybody that has come into your house says, "Oh my God, I just love the color that you've painted your living room wall," that's still not going to be the best for profit. Okay, so paint in your interior often is a money maker. Painting your exterior can be a money maker. Oftentimes, when people say to me, "I've got to paint the outside of the house," and we're talking, a $6,000 to $10,000 job, I might say, "You know what? I think that if you paint the doors and the window trim and the eave trim, you're going to have a great effect." Okay, so but painting exterior, sometimes all you really need to do is to paint your porch and your front door, but that can be very profitable. Landscaping, I don't mean hardscape. I don't mean bring in a concrete contractor to pour a new walkway or a new patio, but oftentimes bringing in a landscape guy, if you have a very talented gardener or a landscape person, they can help you to shape the trees, especially if you start doing this now or in January. They can help you to shape the trees. They can help you to put in low-cost shrubbery that fills in some gaps, and then they can counsel you or even install lots of colorful flowers and bedding plants, putting down mulch that can really tidy up and increase the curb appeal, right? There's a whole show on HGTV about curb appeal. It can help you to enhance the curb appeal. Landscaping is one of the most overlooked profit-making things that you can do to get your house ready for sale. Staging is a very wide range. Okay, staging can be anything from cleaning and decluttering, which you should do anyway, to rearranging and remixing the things that you already have, to actually emptying out your house and bringing in designer furnishings, accessories, bedding and clothing, all kinds of stuff that really makes it look like it's that model home. There is no right or wrong here. It really has to do with the budget that you're able to work with and the profit that you're looking to make. The more you spend, by and large, the more percentage profit you're going to make for your investment. Okay, and there are exceptions to every rule. If you are already a talented designer, you may not need any of this and you will still make huge profit. Okay, so it depends on how it goes. Decluttering is always a profit maker, always. Those cute collections that you've amassed, your Pez dispenser collection, that needs to go. One, it's just too easy for someone to advertently or inadvertently, like say a 3-year-old might look at the Pez dispenser and say, "Oh, hey, I want that," and put it in their pocket. The 3-year-old is not trying to rip you off. They just think it's a toy and they want to take it. So those kinds of collections, those kinds of small tchotchkes, all of your amazingly beautiful family portraits, that all is part of decluttering and helping the buyer to see themselves living in this home. Okay, and then maintenance. It is true, buyers will pay more money for a home that's in cream puff condition. I sometimes call it toothbrush condition. All you have to do is bring your toothbrush, than a home where they perceive fixing up needs to happen. So that can be anything from updating a kitchen that is really tired and maybe not in the best condition, to just changing the toilet paper holder. Seriously, that could be a maintenance. If it's broken and it no longer holds the roll of toilet paper, replacing it with a new one, that is maintenance. So it doesn't have to be big, but maintenance is an important part of it. And we have here at Diggs a list of our personally vetted vendors and tradespeople that we like to do business with. And we also have people that we have heard through the community are very trustworthy, desirable tradespeople. We don't guarantee the work of anybody that we recommend, but they're either people we've heard from more than one person in the community about this particular tradesperson. Okay, so we have a list available to anybody who asks. A big deal is that people often ask, what am I going to do with my stuff? I would love to move, but I just don't know what to do with my stuff. So I think I'll just stay and I'll let my kids deal with it, right? We hear about that a lot. And I've moved actually quite a few times, call it a professional hazard. And in just a few years, you can accumulate so much stuff. It's easier to just stay than to dream about a home that really suits your lifestyle better. So what can you do with your stuff? You can donate it. There are a ton of worthy nonprofit organizations that take your stuff. Some are more, shall we say, picky than others. Like, for example, the Huntington Collection, which is a nonprofit arm of the Huntington Hospital down in Pasadena. They're very, very picky. If it's not an antique, if it's not fine art, they won't take it. I mean, they just flat out won't take it. To the less picky, Veterans Association, and it's not Veterans Association, I think it's called something else, but the veterans, they are pretty open-minded. My favorite is the Salvation Army. Not only are they not particularly picky, but they'll come and pick it up. And when you talk about donations, you should be aware of who is profit and who is nonprofit. The Goodwill is a for-profit operation, people. They are there to make money at their stores and whatnot. And they make it awful convenient. You can drop off the stuff at a zillion different, donation centers, but know that when you do that, you're giving it to someone who's going to sell your stuff for a profit, and that's the price of the convenience. And by the way, it's no longer a big deal that you can go to the Goodwill Center and get a charitable donations receipt, because with the new tax laws, you just no longer need to do that. So please consider some of these worthy nonprofits to give your stuff away. And by the way, we're going to be hosting a community-wide garage sale in March that's going to be off the hook. We're going to make it so easy for everybody to do a garage sale. So please reach out to us if you're interested in that. That's going to be up in the North Glendale, La Crescenta area that we're going to be concentrating in, and I think it's going to be awesome. And we'll be benefiting a bunch of nonprofits when we do that. So just, think about that. Okay, an estate sales professional is another way to handle your stuff. So this is really popular for people who maybe are downsizing. Maybe they're going to be going out to the desert, a condo, going into assisted living for some of you. And there are some amazing assisted living facilities locally. But wherever it is you're planning to go, you're going from a great big house that is filled with tons and tons and tons of people and going into a smaller place where there just isn't room for all that stuff, or you just don't want it. Let's just be honest. An estate sales professional is like a professional garage sale person. Although to say that is really disrespecting the estate sales professional. It's much, much grander than that. And so these estate sales professionals, what they do is they come to your house. They give you an idea of whether or not they can make a profit by doing their thing at your house. And then if we all agree, then they come to the house, they actually take all the stuff that needs to be sold, and they will sell everything from half-used boxes of Tide to your fine furniture and antiques, seriously, and everything in between. So you don't need to lift a finger. They take it, they merchandise it, which means they put it out on tables and they tag it for sale and whatnot. They staff it, so they have lots of people there on the days of the sale. And then they have mailing lists of people who follow them to come to their estate sales. So it's an entire operation. And then when they're done, they either haul away or donate everything that's left over. So it's a marvelous service for people who are getting rid of an entire house worth of stuff. Okay, and then they take a percentage of the sales, anywhere from a very large percentage of the sale if they don't think there's very much there to sell, or a smaller percentage if there's lots of stuff and they feel that their total sale proceeds is going to be pretty big. You're doing it not because you want to make money off the stuff, but because you want that stuff to be not go to a landfill and you don't want to have to deal with it, right? So it's a convenience for you. Okay, so that's a really great service. And the last one I want to put forth is the services of a professional organizer. Now, a lot of times what happens is that you love your stuff is good stuff, you just don't know what to keep and what to give away, donate, or sell at an estate sales. It's just you're paralyzed by the weight of all the stuff in your house. And let's just be, everything that's in there, it's in your house for a reason. At one point in time, it was an important thing to you. So sometimes a professional organizer is the key to helping you move through the inertia of just making decisions. Keep, give, toss. Okay, so a professional organizer, and again, we have lots of resources for you, specific resources. Just drop us a line and we'll be happy to give those to you. So last thing that I want to talk about is stress relievers. Now, some of you may be fearful that if you put your house on the market and somebody buys it, it's going to be really, really stressful because the buyer's going to nickel and dime you, because you're going to have to fix, tons of things. And in your mind, you have this kind of amorphous fear that you're going to wind up paying $100,000 to remodel or fix, fill in the blank, whatever it is. So a tremendous stress reliever is to do pre-inspections of your house. And again, this is something you can start doing now. You could actually call us now, find out who it is that we recommend, and you can make appointments that work for your holiday schedule for right after the holidays in January for them to come and do. And here's what we recommend: have a general home inspection, have a termite inspection, and have a sewer scope. That's where they actually put a camera down the sewer, just like the doctor does to your sewer, and scope it out and see where there may be any breaks, any conditions that could use a repair. Or interestingly enough, most of the time when we do sewer scopes, we actually get a clear bill of health, which is awesome news. But if you don't get a clean bill of health, that sewer break, if there's a break or even a condition, can cost you anywhere from $600 because you have to get a hydrojet. We can do them cheaper than that, but that's just like the retail hydrojet. Or if you actually have to replace a sewer line, if you have to do it in a red hot hurry, it could be $10,000, $15,000. But if you have time to shop wisely, you could maybe do it for as much as $4,000, $5,000, or $6,000, right? So you could save a lot of money by knowing in advance what it is that has to happen. And I got news for you: selling your house to a buyer and saying, oh, by the way, when you flush the toilet, things may or may not disappear. They're disappearing today, but there's a break in the line and it might not happen, after the close of escrow. Buyers are going to have an issue with it, all of them. There is even a professional buyer, they're going to have an issue with it. But if you get ahead of that conversation, it's going to be a lot less expensive than if the buyer finds out as an unpleasant surprise after we've already agreed on a purchase price. I guarantee you're going to get less profit for your home if you wait until then. And you guessed it, we have an extensive list of people that we think do a wonderful and fair job of inspections and writing up a report that is fair and balanced and accurate. Okay, so those are some of the things that I am suggesting. As always, we would love to just chat with you, no obligations. We know that this is just information gathering on your part. And even if you happen to be hearing this webinar and you are not local here to Glendale, I can probably help you find professionals that can help you the way we help our local people in some other area. I have extensive personal connections all over the country and in some other countries like Canada. So we would love to talk to you and help you out and get you so that you can get to your ideal digs. Our contact information is on the screen. Shout out, send us an email, give us a call. We'll be delighted to send the resources that I mentioned during this webinar to you. And that would be a strategy session with one of us if you're here locally, a strategy session with someone that I know if you're not here locally, our list of vetted and trusted tradespeople and vendors for inspections, for maintenance, for fixing, for staging, and all of the above. And if you decide that you want to work with us, we'll even provide some project management so that some of this can get done maybe while you're on holiday vacation. So that's it for now. I'm Kendall. I represent Diggs, and we're a collection of agents that just really lives to connect cool people with cool homes and to serve our people and to love on them. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Until the next time, this is me saying bye-bye.